From 2015 to 2025, the idea of a free energy generator was everywhere. Designed to solve the world's energy crisis, it promised to deliver electricity without fuel. It achieved huge media buzz, with headlines claiming vehicles that never run out of power. Yet behind the popularity lay hidden problems. Critics decried its violation of physics. Users believed in its promise. These are the shocking secrets of Maxwell's invention. The story begins with Zimbabwean inventor Maxwell Chikumbutso. Over the last decade, he claimed to have developed a device called the microsonic energy device, a generator that could convert radio frequencies from the air into usable electricity. His demonstrations showed cars running without fuel, homes powered with no connection to the grid, and devices operating endlessly. It seemed like a miracle, and for a moment, the world wanted to believe. Maxwell said his goal was to liberate developing nations from energy poverty, to make power free for all. But his invention soon collided with powerful interests, scientific laws, and global skepticism. What it lacked was alignment with the laws of physics. In reality, no credible independent test has ever proven that the device produces more energy than it consumes. Scientists noted that radio frequencies in the air are far too weak to power heavy machinery or electric vehicles. For every watt captured, losses in resistance and conversion would exceed the gain. The most obvious example was his so-called self-charging car, shown running, yet never inspected under controlled conditions. Ask almost any engineer what frustrated them most, and they'll tell you, the numbers simply didn't add up. Without that proof, institutions pushed back. Patent offices around the world rejected filings, citing violations of thermodynamics. But to the public, this looked like suppression. In online discussions, people whispered about big oil. If this device truly worked, it could end dependence on fossil fuels overnight. Trillions in revenue gone. The energy giants, critics said, would never allow it. In reality, however, it wasn't shadowy agents that halted Maxwell's progress. It was science itself. What it lacked was independent verification. Every demonstration was private, controlled, or shrouded in secrecy. No university, no recognized lab, no international body has ever replicated the results. Each new video or launch came with dramatic promises, but no data. Supporters pointed to secrecy as protection from theft. Skeptics saw it as a shield for fraud. Over time, the demonstrations grew more theatrical. Cars that supposedly charged themselves, drones that never needed batteries, yet each lacked clear evidence. Then came the issue of patents. Without legal protection, investors refused to engage. Energy companies, banks, and venture funds dismissed the project as fantasy. Governments hesitated. Even sympathetic scientists demanded transparency, but were met with silence. What it lacked was reproducibility, the cornerstone of innovation. And without that, doors stayed shut. Funding dried up. Maxwell's company announced big partnerships, but few materialized. Announced factories never broke ground. Investors pulled back. For all the talk of unlimited energy, there was never enough money to prove it. And when money vanished, so did momentum. That vacuum was filled by a powerful new narrative: suppression by big oil. Online, the story exploded. Forums, blogs, and viral videos claimed energy conglomerates were buying off governments, sabotaging labs, silencing inventors. The myth of the forbidden energy machine became part of digital folklore. It was a perfect story, the lone genius against corporate greed. And it worked. Millions believed. But in reality, there was no evidence of oil companies directly interfering. What did exist was public fascination, and that, too, was profitable. The more controversy surrounded Maxwell's work, the more attention it drew. For some, it wasn't about physics anymore. It was about faith. People wanted to believe there was something powerful enough to set them free. Over time, though, even believers grew uneasy. Maxwell's explanations began to change. First, he said his device harnessed ambient electromagnetic waves. Then he claimed it extracted energy from radio frequencies. Later, he described quantum resonance fields. Each version contradicted the last. Consistency gave way to confusion. What it lacked was a stable foundation. When the science kept shifting, so did public trust. Politicians entered the stage. Government officials attended his events, eager to claim national innovation. Headlines proclaimed a Zimbabwean breakthrough. But when journalists asked for data, they were turned away. Political leaders posed beside prototypes that never reappeared. The invention became a prop for speeches, a symbol of pride rather than proof. And when promises failed, those same leaders distanced themselves. The dream was left hanging, unfulfilled and unanswered. Yet, despite every failed test, every exposed inconsistency, the myth endured. Online, Maxwell's invention was treated as evidence that the establishment fears change. The story traveled through forums, YouTube channels, and message boards, each version adding new drama, new claims, new villains. In the age of misinformation, truth and fiction merged seamlessly. What it lacked was evidence. What it gained was legend. Still, the fascination persists because the dream behind it is universal. A world free from oil, without bills, without pollution, it's irresistible. Every generation rediscovers the idea of free energy, from Tesla's Wardenclyffe Tower to magnetic motors on YouTube. The story never dies. It only evolves. For millions in developing nations, Maxwell became a hero. Not because his machine worked, but because he dared to dream out loud. He represented defiance against dependence, against Western energy monopolies, against the idea that science is owned by the powerful. Even if the invention never lit a single bulb, the hope it sparked illuminated imaginations worldwide. But hope, without truth, can be dangerous. In reality, energy cannot be created from nothing. Power must come from somewhere, whether chemical, solar, nuclear, or motion. The dream of infinite power has always faced the same wall: physics. Ask almost any physicist today what they think of Maxwell's device, and they'll say the same thing. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof. Without that, what remains is belief. And belief alone cannot power a light bulb. The cultural impact, however, is undeniable. In the era of viral media, Maxwell's story became a symbol of both ambition and delusion. His videos inspired countless inventors, conspiracy theorists, and entrepreneurs. They reminded the world how easily the promise of revolution can overshadow the rigor of science. As of 2025, Maxwell's whereabouts remain uncertain. Some say he continues his research in private, others claim he's been silenced. Whether truth or myth, his name endures in the same breath as Tesla, Bedini, and other dreamers who sought to outwit the laws of nature. What it lacked was proof. What it inspired was possibility. And that is why the legend of Maxwell's invention will never fully fade. It speaks to something timeless: the human hunger for power without cost, for freedom without compromise, for miracles without waiting. What if Maxwell's invention had worked? The world's energy map would be unrecognizable. Oil would collapse, nations would shift, and the age of scarcity would end. But perhaps the real lesson is simpler. The greater the promise, the deeper the responsibility to prove it. In the end, The story of Maxwell's invention isn't about suppression or conspiracy. It's about belief, science, and the eternal tension between dreamers and doubters. And until someone truly breaks the laws of energy, big oil won't need to shut anything down. Reality already does.